Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank you to those who support our channel, those who sent coffee. I don't know why you always request me not to mention your names, but anyway, I'll be very loyal. I'm really thankful. May God bless you. If you're watching our channel for the first time, kindly subscribe and click the notification bell. Being the president of Kenya, especially now where we are, is the most difficult thing to be. It is the place you don't want to find yourself in. Because Kenya is suffering from economic and political turmoil. We are just in the middle of a crisis, in the middle of nowhere. And the plans to get out of this crisis is amorphous. There is no head, there is no tail. It is like there is no plan. It's funny that when William Ruto was campaigning, he said there was a plan for everything. Recently, and I think just a few days ago, we realized that civil servants had not been paid. And when the government was questioned about this, because I understand people are saying that for the first time in many years, this is happening. Even when the late President Moi was running an economy that was on its knees, this has never happened. But the government is very crafty. They crafted a narrative that is being sold by every government official. Yesterday, they were telling people that the reason why the government has not paid civil servants is because the revenue that was collected by the Kenya Revenue Authority was used to offset debts, because they are claiming that the previous government carelessly took loans, and William Samoei Ruto has found himself in the middle of this crisis, and therefore they used this money to offset loans, and they are promising that whatever they are collecting now will be used to pay civil servants. You will understand that even William Ruto has taken quite huge amount of loan since he got into power. But there is someone who begs to differ with them. And this is a person who sits at the table of economists. He is the chief economic advisor of Kenya Kwanza. He is the author and the defender of the bottom-up economy. I'm talking about none other than David Ndii. You see, when David Ndii talks, you know he talks with authority, because when a crocodile tells you that a hippopotamus is sick, you can't argue with such submissions, because they both live in water and he knows what is happening. So David Ndii came up, he was on Citizen TV in an exclusive interview, and he is submitting to Kenyans that this government, the government in which he is serving, is not only very wasteful, but that there are deliberate efforts to ensure that they waste taxpayers' money. And is submitting that there is nothing that can be done, including the institutions that are supposed to guard against wastage cannot do anything. In fact, the funniest part of it is that even himself and his office can do nothing, yet they are paid a lot of money to ensure that they avoid wastage. I want you to listen to Ndii so that you understand what I mean. That is, let's listen to what Ndii is saying.
Sources, no time from government is extremely wasteful. There is not a single day that I'm not exasperated by not just how wasteful it is, but by how deliberate it is and how unbothered people are.
And independent institutions, control of budget, the Auditor General, investigative agencies are unable to rein in.
They are unable to.
On this wastage.
Totally. They are helpless.
David Ndii, as the chief economic advisor, if you have no answers for us, what are Kenyans to do?
No, that's the truth. You know, I don't sort of be bad, but it's not just this government. Governments are very wasteful. But we do need to put in systems that try and get more value of more money. We probably could strengthen the Auditor General's office.
So that is David Ndii, a man who is at the center of our economic review of our economic progress. If the government fails, it is David Ndii. If the government is successful, it is Ndii. But Ndii is saying that he's not hiding anything, he's telling the truth. I want to ask you something, because I could be wrong. As always, no one has monopoly of knowledge. Ndii has got an office that is being financed and maintained by Exchequer. And I want to believe that he sits at the table with the mighty, with William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. Why do you think? Because this is like a boardroom matter. Why do you think he has decided to spill the beans outside? Why do you think he has decided to talk about this in public on national TV? I think this is very deliberate. Because for someone to come up at a time when the government is trying to avoid being accused, when the government is shifting the blame to the previous regime, when the government is trying to ensure that they look good, they are packaging themselves in a certain manner because they know they have failed, but they don't want fingers pointed at them. But David Ndii is coming and saying that they are very wasteful, and this is very deliberate, and he's saying that even the institutions that are also financed with the taxpayers' money cannot check this. Why do you think he has come out? I have a feeling that he is not being listened to, because as an advisor, you only need to give advice, but you cannot put a gun on Rigathi and Ruto's head and tell them you must do this. You just advise on what you think is good. If they are not listening, you either resign or sit back and watch. And David Ndii seems to be very, very, very calculated. He seems to be telling Kenyans so that should anything happen, if the government will sink, then he will say, I stood up. You had me telling you on national TV that this government is wasteful. Because he seems to be suggesting that we should strengthen the institutions like the Auditor General, you know, to keep checks and balances to this government. But I don't think so. Someone is not listening to Ndii. I'm not an economist, but a quick look on how this government is behaving will tell you that they are wasteful. They organize what we call interdenominational prayers, and every day they are in churches on a Thanksgiving mission ever since William Ruto got to power. Now this is almost the 9th month, but they still continue to go to places on a Thanksgiving mission. And you see, when a president is going somewhere, and a deputy president and cabinet secretaries and the members of parliament, there is a lot of money that is being wasted there. And this is something that I think even economists have talked about. They are quite unnecessary. The best Thanksgiving that you can organize to your people, if you feel they elected you, is to deliver to them, not going to them to tell them asante. Because the people you go to are hungry, yet you drive very expensive and prestigious cars, and you go to those churches and you start playing politics and blame game. When people are going hungry and you keep on pointing fingers at the previous regime, this is a slap in their face, and it is just wasteful. I have heard people saying that William Ruto is making very many trips, but there is no value for the money. You know, when a president is traveling somewhere, and especially outside the country, security, medical services must be there. And there is a lot of money that is being wasted there, because the team of doctors must be there, and even the kind of food that aeroplane alone is oxygenated. There is a lot of money, and so when a president flies outside the country, there must be calculated efforts that when he comes back, there is value for the money, maybe some contracts, maybe bilateral or multilateral trade. But our president has been traveling, and sometimes just to meet the West, to plead with them to tame Raila Amolo Odinga. Recently, the government allocated certain millions of money to the office of the deputy president and the chief minister to buy some luxurious vehicles to them and to their spouses. Really, what do we have to do with the wife of a deputy president, of a wife of a chief minister, being given limousines and very big cars? What are they doing to Kenyans? When Kenyans are going hungry, when there is a drought and hunger in the country, don't you think that this is already wasted? That's why I told you that we don't need to be economists to understand that the government is wasteful. They assigned 50 CSS, Chief Administrative Secretaries, in an environment where there is no need at all, because we have cabinet secretaries and the PSS. The work that they do is enough, and where there was no need of even appointing more people into offices when we know we don't have money, and they have said that very publicly. This is something that is really unacceptable, and David Ndii has come up to tell people what is happening. And to see what is happening is that when David Ndii tells you such things, he wants the common man, the ordinary mwananchi, to take action, because you don't expect Ndii to start, pointing guns and telling them. He has told them in the boardrooms and they are not listening. The best is to tell you and then he resigns, because he doesn't want to be part and parcel of what is happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is not about the previous regime, Uhuru Kenyatta or Raila Amolo Odinga. It is not money that was wasted. It is money that is being wasted now, and Ndii is saying it is deliberate, and there is nothing that they can do except if the Kenyans rise up and they tell this government that we are tired. This is why all these talks that Raila Amolo Odinga is planning is a waste of time. This government must be checked and be stopped right on their way. Otherwise, we are sinking very slowly, and before we know it, we will be in the abyss of poverty. And that is my take, ladies and gentlemen.